Blog Talk Radio.
Drop that down! The whole fucking show! Drop that down! The whole fucking show! Examinator! Examinator! Executioner! Fan assassinator! Drop that down! The whole fucking show! Drop that down! The whole fucking show! A damn shot straight to your brain! Straight to your skull crack! You get down to straight to your brain! Straight to your skull crack! Drop that down! The whole fucking show! Drop that down! The whole fucking show! I will fly high! 5-star frog splash! You can't stop me! 5-star frog splash! Drop that down! The whole fucking show! Drop that down! The whole fucking show! It's all about the yin and the yang, the balance, the power, the zen. You can't stop the yin and the yang, the balance, the power, the zen. Drop it down, the whole fucking show. Drop it down, the whole fucking show. I will levitate, flip, kick you in the yam. I will decimate, you can prepare for. Drop it down, the whole fucking show. Drop it down, the whole fucking show. Drop it down! The whole fucking show! Drop it down! The whole fucking show! Drop it down! The whole fucking show! Drop it down! The whole fucking show!
You're listening to RVD Radio.
That's right. Hello, everybody. What up, free thinkers? Happy November 12th, 2008. I'm excited. I think this is going to be like the best show we've had yet. I have a feeling. Good energy. I'm pumped. We're going to be talking about a couple of things here. One of them being the United States status on medical marijuana. A lot of people know that I'm an advocate, a strong advocate. You may not know about today's particular status, and it's very exciting. So I have a great guest coming on a little bit later. He's the Assistant Director of Communications from the Marijuana Policy Project. That's huge, everybody. And I'm out to educate you. I'm looking forward to you guys calling in. I'm looking forward to somebody disagreeing with some of the facts that we're going to lay out to you. But very exciting times right now because of last Tuesday being the election day. We had like 9 out of 10 marijuana movements pass through. One that didn't, that really surprised me, was out here in California, the ballot Proposition 5 that included favoring therapy and rehab over incarceration for drug offenders, which I definitely believe in. Somebody's doing drugs, that doesn't mean you lock them up in a cage. If somebody's murdering, if somebody is raping little kids, if somebody is a danger to society, lock them up in a cage, okay? But not somebody that's got issues that needs help. That's just sick, but that's the way that things are right now in a very wrong way. So Proposition 5 was going to help that out. In addition to that, it was going to lower the penalty for possession of marijuana here in California without a doctor's recommendation. It's a very low fine. They tried to make it lower from a misdemeanor. They wanted to lower it to a infraction. That one didn't pass, but like 9 other ones did across the country, and they're huge. One of them that was really major was Massachusetts passed an initiative by a large margin, and because of that pass, if you have an ounce or less of marijuana, you don't look at jail time. You don't look at courts and lawyers and ruining your financial credit and your whole future over pot, over a non-toxic weed. No, they decided that it's a waste of police resources. So now you get busted, and you will look at about a $100 fine that you will send in the mail. Very appropriate. I'm all for it. Congratulations, Massachusetts. I will have a police officer who's a very good friend of mine. I just named him Officer X. He's going to tell us exactly what the difference is now with his job while he's enforcing the law in Massachusetts. And very excited about that. Another thing, RVDs from Battle Creek, Michigan. My home state, Michigan, became the 13th state to endorse medical marijuana. That is very big. With 13 states now recommending and protecting patients that have doctor referrals, that's a lot. And because of the population of Michigan and California, that is a huge part of our country, and things are really moving in a very interesting direction. Something that you may or may not know is that President Obama has sworn to stop arresting medical marijuana patients, which is very, very big. I get the weekly, actually there's every couple of days, these newsletters from MPP. Go to MPP, that's medicalmarijuanaproject.org, and you'll get the most valid information. It's up to date, and they'll tell you the current status and where it's going. They're the lobbyists that are making the changes. They're funded from people like us, contributing what we can, and they started back in 1996 here in California with Proposition 215, moving the whole legalization thing. So hats off to the MPP. They're right there in Washington, D.C. They're going to be calling in to the show later on. Yeah! Now RVD Radio's got some credibility. Used to be a stoner way back in the day. I used to, experiment. And then back then I might have laughed or giggled at some stupid, you ever tried smoking and standing on your head? Don't call in and say that shit. It's not funny to me anymore. Now it's about human rights. I'm an adult. If you're an adult, then you should have the right to put whatever you want in your body. But furthermore, if they're going to control what to put into your body, they should have a good logical reason. You would think that marijuana was outlawed by some kind of a danger, maybe some evidence, some deaths, something. No, all political bullshit. They lied. They said that it would make you go crazy, and it would cause violence, and because of that, for political reasons, they outlawed it. So we're going to be covering that today because this is history. Besides that, we're going to be talking about Hulk Hogan's Celebrity Championship Wrestling. Anybody out there been watching that? RVD's been watching it. I've seen every show. And let me tell you, if you thought at first celebrities wrestling in the ring, nah, that sounds too silly for me. I understand that. I kind of thought at first it sounded a little silly, but what I found out was that, one, these celebrities take it really seriously. Two, it's just like its own thing. It's not trying to be something else. It's not trying to fool anybody. And besides, what I really like about it is that it exposes some of the aspects of pro wrestling that people miss that are just watching it. People want to discredit the whole thing and say, it's all scripted and they're playing. No, I've been in business for almost 20 years. I've never seen a script. So that's bullshit. That right there discredits what probably 90% of the fans think they know. And the better you are, the less you even need to worry about being prepared to step into the ring. I've said this many times. I've gotten into the ring with somebody that I've never met before, never talked before, that doesn't even speak the same language as me many times during my job. But on the Celebrity Championship Wrestling, they're taught a number of moves, and they're taught just a number of things, just a limited amount, and then they have a competition where they go out there and they exhibit that. It's in the form of a wrestling match, and the crowd that they work in front of is great. That crowd is so hot. There's so much energy. They're lucky, very fortunate to be able to wrestle in front of such an excited crowd. Anyway, these celebs go out there, and they have a match, and they use the limited tools that they've been given, and then they get judged. Hulk Hogan, Jimmy Hart, Eric Bischoff judge them afterwards, and somebody gets voted off every week, okay? So if you haven't seen this yet, the reason I'm explaining it to you is that when you watch it, you just might understand that even in the frame of entertainment, there's competition amongst all the participants. They're trying to get to the top. They want to be in the main event. They want to get that championship payday, and they want to impress the judges. They want to impress the people. They want to impress the promoters. Really no difference. That's just like it is with pro wrestling, and so is second guessing and wondering, and if you really got what it takes, and thinking back and out. All that is like real aspects of what goes on in pro wrestling that you would never really think of maybe if you're just watching it. Unless you actually try to pursue it yourself, then you'll realize that all this is true, all of it. And, it's one thing to be a fan on the outside and just think, they're all just buddies playing. I use this example a lot. I can walk in anywhere, any Waffle House for you people on the East Coast, or Cracker Barrel, and they'll say, oh, your buddy was in here last week. Really, who was my buddy? It could be anybody that they know that has anything to do with wrestling. That's why? Because they think that wrestling is all just a big game and we're all just playing. And they don't realize how much work it is. It's so much work that RVD is staying at home right now in favor of the work. All right? So that's something else we're going to be talking about. All right? I have a bunch of phone calls. I'm going to try and go through them, try and get everybody on today that I can. So I'm going to go a little earlier. I know. You guys are begging for my 20-minute monologue. But today I got some important guests coming on. I'm excited about talking to them. And I'm going to get some interaction, starting with Mr. Cody Dunn from the 409. What up, Cody Dunn?
Not much, Rob. I'd just like to say I heard your earlier show about Proposition 8, and I agree with you, man. It's total bullshit.
I'm really surprised that got voted through here in California. For everybody listening, the ballot Proposition 8 was an amendment to a constitution to prohibit same-sex marriage. In other words, it actually took the right away from same-sex couples from being married. Who cares about that? Who wants to put so much energy into stopping other people from having fun just because it's doing something that they don't like and it scares them? Apparently enough people to vote it through. You know what I'm saying? I think common sense says you let them do what they want. And it comes to legal issues. They break up and then, they've lived together for a long time and they're not married. Well, then you got issues with the property, and this would have protected them. It really is an equal rights thing, and it's surprising to me that got voted through, especially here in California. But this piece of information added to it. The whole thing, the financing was financed by the Mormons. Apparently they put in like $20 million to campaign to vote yes on Proposition 8. And can you believe that? These sick fucks, like Bill Maher said, they wanted to restore they want to keep the tradition in marriage, like they do with their 6 teenage daughters, wives. The Mormons, they have like a harem of wives, and they're all like young and their kids, and they have a problem with same-sex couples because it breaks up the tradition of marriage. Dude. So, yeah, thanks for agreeing with me, Cody. I just fucking ran with the ball there, but what up? What you want to add to that? Anything?
Yeah, I was part of the Mormon church for about a year, and I had to get out of it. It was too much, you know, and I've realized that a lot of the whole Proposition 8 thing is just a bunch of, you know, religious people running around saying, no, it's wrong. But, I mean, if you ask me, I mean, if two people who don't really love each other that much, you know, straight people can get married, why can't two gay people who really are in love, why can't they get married, you know?
Yeah, there's like a 70 or 80% divorce rate in the country. It's not like people take marriage as a serious commitment. When it doesn't work, it gets inconvenient. They just call it quits. I don't see why same-sex couples don't have the same right. Yeah. Right on, man. Glad you called. Should I move on, or you got something else? Sounds like you got something else. I don't want to be rude. Cody. Okay.
I'm a big fan of yours, dude. Big whole fucking show. But I've heard a lot of rumors going around that Paul Heyman was in disputes with Vince McMahon about
Mormons.
Paul Heyman has been in arguments with Vince McMahon about the running of the new ECW, and I didn't know if that was true or not, but I just wanted you to answer my question. I'm fixing to get off. That's kind of bitching at me.
No, actually what it was Paul Mormon was fighting, saying, hey, man, that shit ain't cool. But, no, back when he was in the ECW, of course, he hated it just like we all did. And there was issues with all of us, and right now that's why we're not there. But right now, no, Paul don't give a shit what they're doing. He considers ECW dead. Vince McMahon would like it that way. He doesn't want people to remember the original ECW. He wants credit for bringing this new phenomenal product to television, so it is what you got. I heard someone say Dreamer's like the only guy that's left from the original ECW.
I'll turn on.
Okay. Hey, Mike, man, shut up, dude. I put you on the line.
I'll sit down, Susan.
Mike from Iowa. What up, bro?
Not much, Rob.
You sound like you're screaming at your kids, man. Get them in line.
Yeah.
Set them straight. You need me to put Fonzie on the line and set your kids straight?
No, I'm good right now. They got their cuppies. Not much.
What's going on, man? You been watching Hulk Hogan Celebrity Wrestling?
I still haven't. I didn't listen to what you said last week, man. I totally forgot about it.
It's okay. You can forget about last week and just tune in today. There is no yesterday. There is no tomorrow. Sadly. There's only today, Mike from Iowa. Only today.
Yeah.
So, have you watched any of Hulk Hogan's Celebrity Wrestling yet? That's one of the things we're talking about today. Have you caught that show?
I did tune into it for like a couple minutes because it was like just right at the end of the show, so I don't really remember exactly what happened.
Right on. Well, that's fine. I'm not talking so much specifically about exactly what happened each week, but just the whole show in general, because I'm trying to connect with everybody and let them know that it's there. 'Cause a lot of people are missing it. They knew it was coming, and they don't know where to watch it, but it's on Saturdays on CMT. It's on like at 2 in the afternoon. It's on again at 8 o'clock. I think they replay it on Sunday. And you want to tune in and you want to find this show because this weekend, RVD returns to your television.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. I know everybody says it's been too long since we saw RVD do the 5-star frog splash, so
yeah,
right now.
What was it, Santino, the last person you did it to?
The last person that you know of until you watch Hulk Hogan Celebrity Wrestling this weekend. Speaking of which, Mike from Iowa, I'm going to move on because I have a very important guest, one of the wrestlers, one of the competitors, good friend of mine. Can I call you a friend, Todd? I'm going to call you a friend.
Of course you can. Of course you can.
Awesome, man. What up, Todd Bridges?
What up, Rob Van Dam? What up, baby? How you doing today?
Awesome, man. I'm excited about today's show. We got some hot topics.
Man, I'm sure you do. What are the topics?
Well, one of them, I don't know if you want to go anywhere near, but I'm talking about the United States condition with the medical marijuana right now.
Ooh, wow, I tell you this.
Yeah,
I can talk about it because I've experienced all of it.
I thought that you did. I thought I remembered maybe something in a newspaper a few years ago.
Oh, yeah. No, not 2 years ago. It was about 16 years ago the last time I did that.
Right on. Well, in case you don't know, last Tuesday was the most historical day in Marijuana Policy Project's history. There was like 9 out of 10 movements that went through, with Michigan becoming the 13th state to endorse medical marijuana. I read that because of the population of California and Michigan, that we now have 25% of the country's population protected under medical marijuana law.
Well, I really believe that it's necessary, and I think that people should, if it's necessary for medical reasons, people should use it, man. That's what I believe. I don't see why they would hold it back. If people who have cancer and they're sick and they need it, they should be able to use it. There's no reason why they shouldn't.
Right. Todd, you may or may not know, but my wife is actually going through chemotherapy right now, and so she's using cannabis. It makes such a world of difference. Everybody that suffers, they suffer from nausea, loss of appetite, sleeping disorders, just uncomfortableness. Cannabis can cure all that, and it can make the quality of life so much better for people going through this.
Exactly, and that's why I'm glad the states are starting to realize that has to happen.
Yeah, now we just need the feds to admit it. The feds won't admit it, even though they give it to 5 people that they protect that our grandfather did under one of their old programs. They still arrest people. But anyway, I know your time is short, and I'll let you talk about that if you want, but I also want to bring up another topic. We're talking about Hulk Hogan's Celebrity Championship Wrestling.
Man, let me tell you something, baby. That was the toughest show I ever did in my entire life. Anybody that tells me that wrestling is fake, bring your butt out there, get in the ring with us, and let us slam you around all day long and see how you like it, see how your body takes it. Let me tell you something. I've never been so bruised up and so beat up. My body is just now getting over that show, and it was rough, man. I'm still bruised up. And in fact, I ended up with a hernia out of that.
Oh, no.
Yeah, man, picking those guys up. I had surgery, man, so I guess I'm real now. I've had surgery out of it.
Welcome. You're hardcore. You're hardcore. You're hardcore. Dude, yeah, that's all part of it, which you found out. On the outside,
yeah, man.
One thing that's easy for fans to understand is they'll say, I'm sure y'all get hurt sometimes. But they don't understand that when it comes to how real it is, they don't understand the whole spirit of competition. You really are out there. You want to impress the promoters. You want to impress the crowd. You want to be the best because that's the way you're going to make the most money.
Yep, and that's the opportunity I have to see on the CCW. They'll see some of us doing a lot of crazy stuff, and I took one of your moves that you do. I took a hold of it, and I'm doing it, baby. And I'll tell you what, it's going to be great when they have a chance to show that on the show. I really, truly, man. I loved your move. I watched your career too. I love wrestling, and I tell you, I didn't really know what to expect. I didn't know how difficult it was until I got involved. And then once I got involved, I realized that it's the most difficult sport that there is. Man, I play men's adult baseball. I play basketball. I play football. You don't get beat up like you do when you're playing. When you're in wrestling, you get beat up in wrestling. Every day you beat up.
Yeah, one of my best friends is a UFC mixed martial artist. He's Justin McCauley, and he always says that pro wrestlers are the toughest people that there are. And the thing is,
yeah, man.
Well, what you did there once a week or for a few weeks or whatever you did, you also, I'm sure, were told that wrestlers do this like 250, 300 days a year on top of a flight every day or 200 or 300 mile drive, trying to hit the gym, trying to get in sleep. It's really rough.
Yeah, see, that's what blew my mind. I could not imagine, because we were doing it so fast. The turnaround was so quick, man. And I was like, wow, man, I don't get a chance to rest. Like, no, here we go. And you start going over everything. And, and it's weird because even though everything is choreographed, it doesn't mean the moves are going to come out right. People get hurt all the time. There was always somebody getting hurt. Always you fall the wrong way. You miss something. You hit something the wrong way. You land on your back the wrong way. You land on your foot the wrong way. I remember there's a thing you're going to see this week. I think
RVD's on this week. RVD's on this week. We're doing finishing moves.
Yeah, but we're doing finishing moves, but also it's the Royal Rumble, right? I think that's this week.
Oh, I didn't see that, but I think that might be part of it too. Yeah.
You're on the show with the Royal Rumble, and if they watch carefully, I'm not going to tell you what happens. If you watch carefully in one of the scenes, in one of the things that we're doing, when you see Butterbean and all of us around Butterbean, I get kicked square in the jaw. It knocked me silly.
Nice.
It was like, boom. And I was like, oh, my God. I got lightheaded. You know, you get a little dizzy. I got a little dizzy, man. I got a shoe from Butterbean in the jaw. And that hurts,
bro,
man. That don't tickle, man.
I used to look forward to that sometimes. I get that on a nightly basis, and I would know at that moment that at least the crowd knows, you know, that what we're doing out there, they wouldn't be able to do. I took pride in having match after match, hardcore style, to let the fans know. They may think it's entertainment, but they know for sure, one, that I'm kicking ass, and two, that they wouldn't survive. Hey, one other thing I'd like to add, too, when you reach a certain level with the pros, you don't need any of that shit choreographed either. Like, that's something a lot of fans don't realize. Yeah, so, hey, Todd, we got a couple callers that want to talk to you. I don't know if you got time or not. I'm going to ask you before I let them through.
Yeah, I got a few more minutes. I got about 5 minutes.
Okay, I got Steve wants to ask you a question about the L.A. Police Department. Let me see.
My favorite company.
Well, I don't know why that is. What's up with this question, Steve? Ask away.
I followed Mr. Bridges' career. He was a great child actor. I'm glad to see him back on TV. I watched the program religiously. But one of the things that this guy was good for, he was one of the first stars and first people in Southern California to talk about how corrupt and negative to minorities the L.A. Police Department was. I've got two quick questions.
Thank you.
Number one, can you please just touch on that for me? Because you were one of the first guys that said, hey, look, things ain't right. And then I've got one other question.
Okay, yes, I'll tell you something. I was one of the first people to do it, and nobody believed me when I told them. I kept telling them, you guys don't understand. I go, these guys are so corrupt, you don't believe it. I was getting pulled over every day for 1 year by the same police officer, constantly harassed, and I kept telling them, and nobody believed me. But today, which I'm happy with, out of all that have happened, they finally believe that I was telling the truth.
That's crazy.
I'm glad to hear that, Todd, because, you know, you came out years ago about that, and like you said, even in the public eye, media wasn't what it is today. People didn't believe you, an African-American in Southern California. You made it through that, and then, you know, unfortunately with Rodney King and then the O.J. thing and so many of the other things we saw, you were proven to be right, which isn't a great thing, but at least people knew you weren't making it up. So I commend you for that.
Exactly.
I've got one other question, and I'll let you guys go.
Yeah. Go ahead. What's up?
Oh, sorry. What does Gary Coleman's cock taste like?
I don't know. I wouldn't know that because I've been loving women so long I couldn't even begin to tell you that. That's one thing I can tell you.
Everything that guy just says bullshit.
Hey,
thank you.
Hey, he can say it he wants to. See, I may be in Hollywood, but I ain't of Hollywood. Remember that.
Right on. All right,
I love women.
Man. Well, shit, dude, that's we're all about the truth. So I didn't realize that about the police, but that's exciting because I'm all about exposing the truth.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and nobody wants to
exactly
hear
right.
They want to deny it first and do some investigation and eventually find out that it's worth changing their opinion on, you know?
Oh, yeah. And then this last movie, Angela Jolene's last movie, really showed how they were. And that's the beginning of how they were. And they stayed that way for many, many years, you know. And now it's getting a little bit better. I don't get pulled over anymore. I think they pull behind me and they run my plate and they go, oh, no, this guy ain't doing nothing wrong. So they know not to, you know, pull me over. So,
hey, Todd, do you think with President Obama in the office that a lot of that shit's going to change?
Well, here's what I think about what happened with President Obama. First of all, it takes the excuse away from the black man who could say, I can't make it because of the white man. Can't say that anymore. 60 million people voted for Obama, and 40 million of them were white. So we have to look at that situation. The other thing is that, you know, since, you know, he becomes president, when he gets sworn in January, I really believe that America is going to start working together as a unit like we should have been doing in the very beginning. There shouldn't be no more African American or white American. We should be just American. There's an American guy right there. We need to build our country strong first, and then go out and kick ass wherever else we have to.
Yeah, you know, I'm often accused of being an extremist when it comes to free thinking, but I go I'll up you one and say we're all fucking earthlings. You know what I mean?
That's exactly
I'm
right.
really not for killing somebody just because they live on a different piece of land than I do, and trying to dominate and take over their land. I mean, that worked back with the Greeks and the Persians, you know, back when they were discovering the planet. But fuck,
exactly.
I think that, okay, well, you're with me then. Free spirit, Todd.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right on, man. I hear the bowling pins in the back, man.
Yep.
I know I'm keeping.
I gotta get back. All right. I love you guys, and Robin Jam, man, take care of yourself.
Okay, man, thanks for being on RVD Radio. I'll talk to you soon. Have a good game.
Bye. Okay, dude, bye.
Sweet. Mr. Todd's got a little game he's got to get to, and we're going to let him go. And that was awesome. What you talking about, Willis? Come on, you people were all thinking that. I knew you were. Even Harry Slash, my New York correspondent. Are you on the air, Harry?
I don't know. Am I?
Dude, you are, man. You are.
Awesome.
You may be able to touch on a couple of today's subjects here, Mr. Harry Slash. What do you think about medical marijuana? 13 states now endorsing the legalization of its medical use. Pretty soon it's going to be like half and half, and the federal government's going to have to bend and say, oh, maybe it really does have medicinal value.
Oh, I totally agree on that. I mean, I'm living in New York where at one point we had like some of the, like during the Rockefeller administration, I heard stories of people getting locked up for a seed, man. You know?
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing is like people just accept that without even thinking about if that's even morally valid or not. You're locking somebody up for a seed of a plant that is non-toxic, and that was just outlawed on complete bullshit and lies. So people don't want to hear about it, so I don't mind shoving it down their throats sometimes. I also have on the line with me a very important man in the movement, Mr. Dan Bernath, the Assistant Director of Communications from Marijuana Policy Projects.
Hey, Rob, it's good to be here. Yeah.
Awesome, man. I'm glad that you're on here with me because I think I have a little bit of credibility with the listeners because I've been preaching about advocacy for many years now, doing quite a bit of research on my own and going so far as to even getting busted a few times for the good people so we can learn the whole system from the inside out.
Hey, one of these days that won't be necessary, but I appreciate it.
Maybe someday soon. Now, is it true what I read recently that 25% of the country's population is now protected under medical marijuana law?
Yeah, now that Michigan voters have decided to make that the 13th medical marijuana state, you have a 1 in 4 chance of not getting arrested in this country if you are a sick person who needs marijuana.
That's awesome. Now, those numbers, I guess, are based on the adult American population, I guess?
Yes, exactly.
Awesome. Okay, well, I'm from Michigan myself, so I'm really happy to see Michigan jump on board and be the 13th state. I live in California now. It started it all back in 1996, and I am always trying to tell the people, check out MPP.org. They're the best. These are the guys that are making the changes. They're because a lot of people, most people, as you know, I'm sure, they're on the outside of this whole thing. They don't even want to know about it, and they just think, I don't know. Do you think we'll ever see it legal? They don't understand all these little changes that are made every couple of days. And the big news, not only did we get a new president on Tuesday, but wasn't it 9 out of 10 initiatives that passed with the medical marijuana laws?
Yeah, there were a lot of local initiatives across the state, everywhere from Arkansas to Hawaii, and every one of those passed. There are a lot of good people in this movement, and there are a lot of Americans who are tired of our stupid marijuana laws.
Yeah, so I think people need to realize, not only one, that there's no reason that it should be outlawed, but two, that they have to do something about it. And they think it doesn't affect them, even though we're spending $7 billion a year to chase down this non-toxic weed and try to rid it off of our planet, which will never happen. How can people think that doesn't affect them when the economy is in a shithole right now and we need something to stimulate our economy? How about legalizing and taxing marijuana, right?
Yeah, we really just can't afford the luxury of arresting people who aren't doing anything wrong anymore,
Right. I've often read when you outlaw something that's not a crime, you still make criminals.
Yep, and you create a whole criminal market, too. We've made a lot of unsavory folks very rich with marijuana prohibition.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Evil people and Budweiser and the cigarette. Yeah, for sure. You may not know, Dave, but my wife is actually a cancer survivor. She got diagnosed back like in, was it April, that with colon cancer. She had the surgery. She's now nearing the end of a 6-month chemotherapy treatment. And she went about it with cannabis therapy. And I can't believe how much better it has been than how we imagined it. And we go to it's a hospital there, and we see all these sufferers when they've got no appetite, they're uncomfortable, they're sick, they're throwing up. And I'm asking the oncologist all the time, why don't you recommend marijuana? And, you know, they'll laugh, why is it something that people smirk and laugh at?
People stop smirking when they have a personal situation with it, just like you and your wife are going through. There are a lot of folks who thought that they were always against marijuana, would never want medical marijuana, but then when they or a loved one gets sick and they turn to it in desperation and it works and it helps them, suddenly you've got another medical marijuana activist.
Exactly, and they realize. I mean, there's no doubt whatsoever that it's medicine. Even people on the outside, they don't believe that it's not medicine. They say, well, I guess it's okay if you got glaucoma or if you got AIDS. I mean, they understand that it definitely does relieve symptoms, even though the federal government, one, denies that it's medicine, and then two, they go and make this THC pill Marinol, which is an acknowledgement. It's them admitting that it is medicine, right?
Yeah, and they make it a Schedule III drug. It's in one of the safest categories, whereas marijuana somehow is in the most dangerous category.
Right, yeah. Marijuana is in a Schedule I, the most dangerous with no medicinal value, most addictive, whereas cocaine and meth are a Schedule II, which means they're safer and have more medicinal properties. And now you're saying that Marinol, the synthetic THC form in a pill, is a Schedule III?
But, you know, here's the encouraging thing to me, and I think we saw it in Michigan on Tuesday, and we also saw it in Massachusetts where the voters passed a decriminalization bill. You know, we've all been raised with what the federal government tells us about marijuana. It's dangerous, it'll kill you, it'll make you into a heroin addict, all that kind of stuff. But and voters were hearing that in Massachusetts and Michigan. But you know what? They don't pay attention to this issue as much as you and I do, but they knew that this was nonsense, and they voted overwhelmingly for these reforms, even though all their elected leaders, their law enforcement, everybody, you know, was getting up, having press conferences, telling them that the sky would fall, that it would be chaos if they passed these things, and the voters called their bluff. Yeah,
you know, one of the big changes on Tuesday was that Massachusetts, of course, legalized possession. They didn't legalize it. Let me reword that. They decriminalized possession of an ounce or less of marijuana. So instead of worrying about going to jail or you know, having your lawyer in court and all that, it's now punishable by a $100 ticket, which I believe they pay in the mail. And there's some ramifications to that. A good friend of mine, we'll call him Officer X, happens to be a police officer in the Massachusetts area. Are you online with us on RVD Radio, Officer X? Come on, I gave you a hell of an intro. Talk to me. No Officer X? All right. Man, he did this to me last week, too. We'll get him back then. All right. He'll scream, man. All right, anyway, I have a ton of calls. Is it okay if I put some people on the air?
Yeah, you bet.
Okay, cool. I have a ton of calls. Let me try and get through some of them. Some of them have been on there a really long time. This one is relative. They say that they have a question about pot. Calling from Orlando, the 407. What's up, Cancer? It says Cancer, like that's their name. Hey, who's calling from 407? You want to talk or no? Okay, awesome. I got all these calls, and now I'll just move right on to another one. Who should we take, baby? By the way, Sonia's here with me. Sonia, say hi. Say hi to Gary and say hi to David. Sorry, hold on. Who is always on the line? I got Dan Bernath with me. I got Harry Slash up in New York, and I got RVD TV producer Nikki Starr.
Hello, say hello, everybody, and that covers everybody.
There you go. So it's always nice to hear a female voice on the line. All right, I'm going to try and keep 916. Hey, Nikki, if you can hear me, find out what's up with Officer X, caller 13 from 916. Find out why the motherfucker won't speak to me. And, oh, yeah, there is rough language on this show. And in the meantime, let me go up towards the top. Oh, he's texting me saying he can't get through. Well, how about this call from Rhode Island? Is this a real call?
Yes,
Rhode Island. Okay, wow, this is awesome. Shawn, take my call. All right, okay. Shawn Stasiak says, take my call. All right, Shawn, I'll go to you. At least you'll fucking talk to me, right, Dr. Shawn? Can you hear me, Rob? I can hear you, man. I'm having one of... I know you've had shows like this before where you go to take them and nobody's there. That's cool. What up, Dr. Shawn?
Hey, Rob, I just want to say, and also Blog Talk Radio, who's listening, all the technical difficulties, that's okay, because Rob and I both talked about it earlier today, and we both think it's very impressive.
All right. Thanks for that opinion. Shawn, listen, Dr. Shawn is a chiropractor friend of mine, ex-wrestler and current wrestler, if you want to book him. He used to be in the WWE with me. Dr. Shawn, today on RVD Radio, we're talking about a few things. I'm talking about wrestling, Shawn, because this weekend RVD is going to be on Hulk Hogan's Celebrity Championship Wrestling, which you can watch on CMT. People don't know it, but there's a channel called CMT. It's on 2 o'clock and 8 o'clock on Saturday. They replay the hell out of it. And so we're talking about that. I just had Todd Bridges on a few minutes ago. We're also talking about medical marijuana, which, Dr. Shawn, you know that I know an awful lot about it, but I also have the legitimate credentials straight from Washington, D.C. online with me. I got Dan Bernath from the MPP, which I am a proud contributor of. So we're talking about pot. What do you think, Shawn, from everything that you've learned in the doctor school, because you went to like 4 years of doctoring school, whatever the hell you call it, and you learned everything about the body. What is your understanding of the dangers of having cannabis, THC, the active ingredient in your body?
Well, I don't know as much as you do, Rob, on that topic, but
I know.
I just can say that you actually smartened me up to some of these studies that were done and showing no lung cancer, no brain damage, losing cells in the brain.
Ever in the history of the planet, whereas we have an overdose of water. People overdose, over 450,000 from tobacco every year, but 1 out of 6 people die from smoking cigarettes. But that's so common that if I want to smoke a joint with somebody, guys, and there's a paranoid person in the bunch, they light up a cigarette to cover up the smell because that's more acceptable. Cigarettes kill.
The thing I can say is that, the only experience I really can relate that to is 2 people, I guess. I mean, Sonia's talked about how it's helped her pain and what she's going through. My mom, she died of cancer back in 1984, and I know that the doctor prescribed her medical marijuana, and I know that it relieves her pain. There's studies that are out left, right, and center on it. I mean, I'm not a huge advocate of it. I mean, do I think there's a place for it? Absolutely. But I think there's also, within reason, too, I think it can be abused, just like anything else. But I think that it's just people have made a much bigger deal, especially the government has made a bigger deal out of it than it really is. And in fact, I think there's much more benefits to it in a health standpoint than not.
That's actually what the American Medical Association thought back in 1937 when they outlawed it. So they just didn't invite them to the final testimony, and they just fabricated their evidence to outlaw it. So on the line with me is Dan Bernath. He can testify RVD's not just a hippie that's feeding you some propaganda. This call's coming from Washington, D.C. The MPP is the legit organization that makes these movements happen in a positive way. Hey, I got a question for you, Dan. I'm a contributor and a big fan of MPP, and I find it to be the best group. But a lot of people, the first thing they think of is NORML, the National Organization for the Reformation of Marijuana Laws. There's also this other group called the Safer Access. I talked to all of them, and some of them have different views. That Safer Access for America, or whatever the hell it's called, they seem to think that their view is more strictly on medicine, and they think that certain people will take the argument, and they think that if you legalize it medically, that's only like a doorway. You're just trying to get your foot in the door, and that eventually you're going to try and get it legalized across the board. So they don't want that to happen, and they think that the medical is just an excuse. I personally say, fuck yeah, legalize it across the board. It's safer than cigarettes. What's your view, Dan, and the MPP's view on that?
Well, yeah, I don't really think that those ideas have to really be in conflict. That talking about protecting patients who are using medical marijuana, they have their doctor's recommendation, and still we want to go and arrest them. Those, to me, are the most egregious victims that we have in this war on marijuana. But there are a lot of other problems with our marijuana laws. There are other people who are being victimized by this. There's too much money being wasted on it. So the bottom line is that we've never passed a law that wasn't supported by the voters, that wasn't supported by the people or by their elected representatives, and we'll never be able to. Marijuana will stay illegal as long as people want it to be. The whole idea that we could possibly sneak in, with a medical marijuana law, and poof, you wake up one day and you find out that marijuana is legal and it's flooded the streets. It's just nonsense. But medical marijuana is just one of the most important issues that we need to address right away, because people are in pain right now and need this medicine right now.
You're listening to RVD Radio.
Hey guys, change the subject. Randy Couture or Brock Lesnar this weekend? I just bought my Extreme Couture shirt yesterday, and it's very impressive, I must add.
I got my money on Brock, Shawn, because Randy's a wrestler too. They're both wrestling. You cannot wrestle him. He's not a submission guy like Frank Mir. Although, Randy's a hell of a fighter. I think age is a benefit for him. He's got the experience as an MMA fighter over Brock. And an MMA fighter means, that you got the hybrid sport down. That means you can do it all. So it's going to be a hell of a fight. I'm really excited about it. And I also want to apologize to Blog Talk Radio for blaming them for my friend Officer X not getting through. My bad. It just happens to be someone calling from the same area code, I guess. So I'm going to go back to Chris, because you have a comment about Marinol and something about an experience where your grandpa took it.
Yes. Great to be on your show, Rob. I'm a fellow worker in Sacramento, California. But yeah.
Why is it 916? Isn't that Massachusetts?
No, 916 is Sacramento, California.
All right. Well, my bad. All right. So, hey, thanks for being on the air. And I don't know what I'm talking about. When Officer X calls in, I'll get his zip code, his area code. So, your grandpa took it during cancer treatment?
Yes, during cancer treatment, both him and my grandmother got lung cancer. Can't say that it was linked to smoking, but they were both heavy smokers beforehand. I will say that. But yes.
Wait, are you saying they took Marinol or they smoked pot?
No. Well, they were both given the option of either smoking marijuana or taking Marinol. My grandfather opted for Marinol, and my grandmother opted for the medical marijuana. But, yeah, and my grandfather, it improved him significantly. I mean, he regained his appetite. He wasn't in pain as much. He wasn't just lethargic as he was before taking it. And before then, he might as well have been dead.
Now, were you around him enough to explain the difference between the Marinol results and the smoking results?
Really, between the two, it was just much easier for my that I was around both of them enough through their whole thing, because they got cancer right after each other, and consequently died right after each other. But my grandmother, it was harder for her because she had to do it at her house. She couldn't light a joint out in public without something happening, even here in California.
Right.
Protected under several laws, and my cousin's a big fighter in the movement up in Oroville, but my grandmother was going through that, and my grandfather, it was just easy for him because he could just pop a pill out in public. No one even questioned it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's true. Well, appreciate you calling in. I actually have taken Marinol a couple of times, and it was very psychoactive to me. I called the guy that I got it from, and I was upset, like, what the hell did you give me? Because my eyes felt like they were like super, I felt like I was tripping on acid. It did not give me the calming effects that marijuana did at all. Once or twice, I don't know, over the years, and it wasn't the same experience. And I've read a lot about people that have weird results from taking it, like I was trying to multitask here. Anyways, freaking out and getting depressed and all kinds of shit, just like you do with any pill. I just had Officer X on line 11, and now 11's gone. Producer Nikki, we lost him. Producer Nikki, I'm gonna make producer Nikki get on the air, I think, and talk to us instead of emailing.
I just unmuted him. Just say hi. He's
I don't have a line 11.
I know because somebody dropped off, but he's now line 10, so just say hi. Officer X, you're on the air.
Oh, that makes sense. Say hi, Officer X.
What's happening, buddy?
Hey, Officer X is a current police officer in Massachusetts. Say hi to Sonia, Officer X.
Hi, Sonia. How are you? Just the facts, ma'am.
Yeah, she's feeling good. She's here beside me doing RVD Radio. Got a hell of a show going tonight. I don't know if you've been listening to the whole thing or not, but I appreciate you calling in. I got Dan Bernath from MPP. These are the guys, Officer X, that changed that law, or excuse me, that they made it possible for the people in Massachusetts to change the law that recently happened. So, as you know, no longer will people who possess an ounce of marijuana in Massachusetts, they don't have to fear being thrown in jail. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is correct in most situations, unless it's deemed possession with intent due to the behavior of the person who has it, or likewise. But if the ounce is for personal consumption, no, it's no longer a criminal act.
Right. So when you find if you find marijuana and it's like in 10 different baggies, then it's a whole different charge. Then they're doing illegal business. But if they just have say a quarter ounce on them, then what is the procedure then? And I'm not saying what you would do because you're an exceptional guy, but the protocol then would be to write them. Is it automatically like a $100 ticket, or how's that work?
It's supposed to be, but where they're running into problems is there's no law in the books for civil enforcement. In theory, what's supposed to happen is you confiscate the marijuana and write a ticket similar to a traffic violation. However, there's no system in place for that. So I guess that's what they're working on now and figuring out what they're going to do with that. But the newspapers have also, the district attorney's office, are dropping off currently pending criminal charges for possession of marijuana in the state. So it's coming around, and it was an overwhelming vote. It was like 65-35 in favor of decriminalization.
That's awesome. Now, Dan, MPP had a huge part in this, correct?
Yes, we did. We supported this initiative from the very beginning. Hey, Officer X, I'm kind of curious. What were a lot of your colleagues saying? I mean, we saw that a lot of the leadership was very opposed to this, but I'm curious to know what folks that you work with were saying.
Jump ball. It's it's like anything else up to personal interpretation. I mean, the party line is always more enforcement, but we'll just see what happens. It's but often what the leaders want and what the ground troops want are often two different things.
Yeah.
in every campaign.
Yeah.
And Officer X, if you were a police officer out here with the LAPD, you wouldn't pull over Todd Bridges, would you?
What you talking about, Willis?
Awesome.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But
he said he had a problem with that. It was something we talked about earlier.
RVD, motherfucker!
Oh, it's been too long. Where's that been, right?
Is that Todd Bridges?
No, dude. He's actually bowling right now. He was on the air a little while ago, and he had to go. I didn't get an RVD
motherfucker.
Hopefully he's bowling the 300 game right now. Have you been watching the Hulk Hogan Celebrity Championship Wrestling, Officer X?
Yes, I have.
Oh, you have? Okay, cool. You like the show or what?
Excellent. Yeah, I hear there's going to be an outstanding episode coming up this week.
I hear that the best wrestler ever may possibly be making a cameo. That's what I hear.
They got Johnny Rods?
Somebody like that.
RVD, motherfucker!
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, anyway, I'm going to go to some phone calls because I got a whole bunch of people, and they only wait for so long before they get tired and say, fuck, dude, I got other things to do. So I'm going to go to Andrew and see what he's got. 325-325. Where's 325, baby?
I have no idea.
Okay, what up,
Hello?
Andrew? Yeah,
hey,
man.
Hey, RVD. My first time listening to your show. I'm a big fan of yours on wrestling as well.
Oh, thanks, man. Welcome to the show. We're having a blast. How about you?
I'm actually enjoying it. Actually, I have my own show on Blog Talk Radio as well. So.
Great on.
Yeah, it's fun to have your own show. I have a question about the whole president election.
You're listening to RVD Radio.
Okay, dude. A question about the election. Okay, pop it off, man. We got some smart people on the line here. We'll see if we can get it answered for you.
I noticed they attacked one person during the campaigning. How come they didn't attack Obama instead of, I noticed Obama sounded like President Clinton's speech with Martin Luther King.
Dude, I'll tell you what. When I saw Obama speak after the election, and even before, but even more so afterwards, the composure that he had after it was official, after he's our president, and he's standing there addressing the country, I was impressed. I thought, this is the coolest president we've had since JFK. He's cool, he's likable, I can relate to him, I like the energy he puts out, and he speaks like a leader. I mean, don't you think that Bush came across like a puppet? Like he was telling you...
An idiot puppet?
What, baby?
An idiot puppet?
He was talking like he had memorized lines, and like people had fed him information and told him how to answer things, and that's just really the way he came across. He would search his through his catalog of answers in his brain and come out with whatever, but when Obama speaks, he's the fucking man. He's up there like, boom, this is what I'm going to do as your leader. We got to crack with. And he's just, I'm impressed. I think he's awesome, and I'll go on the record to say that. I don't know about Martin Luther King. I mean, Martin Luther King was inspirational, but Martin Luther King, Jesse Jackson, these guys are categorized as specifically fighting for the black people. Obama, just because he's half black, gets thrown into that category. I don't think it matters. I think he's a great leader, and if because he's black, if it causes people to give a little more equality to other people with different colored skin, I think that's a beautiful fucking thing.
RVD, motherfucker!
So, yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I just think, I don't know, I think the media just kind of, bash one part of the, campaign people sort of bashing the other side of it. I just think there was no fair chance.
Well, if that is the case, then that just means that one side was better at debating because everybody got their fair shot, and the people spoke. The people spoke. We have a new president. Hallelujah. It's not the evil Palpatine Emperor fucking McCain. Nope. So I got Mike online with a question about Celebrity Championship Wrestling. Don't you?
Hey,
Mike?
what's up, RVD?
What's going on, Mike?
Hey, man, 420, bro. You're one of the best wrestlers ever, all time, man. I'm a huge fan.
Hell yeah. I'm going to go ahead.
Hey, I had a question about CCW because I remember that Rodman was in NWO, so it seems kind of unfair, bro, because he has, like, the edge. He's already been involved in wrestling and stuff.
Who's that? Who's got the edge?
Rodman.
Oh, well, okay, of course. Yeah, I mean, I thought the same thing. You're right. He had that didn't disqualify him. I was a small part of the show. I helped the guys understand the importance of having a finishing move and how that comes into play with your whole psychology of your match and your competition. And I had nothing to do with picking the contestants, but you're right. That was suspicious. Obviously,
yeah, man. I don't know if Hogan's going to set him up for the big win or what. Hey, but RVD, I was going to ask you, man, how's Sabu doing? Have you been talking to him at all?
Dude, Sabu's doing awesome. He's in France right now, and he was wrestling with Balls Mahoney the other day. He's doing an international tour kicking ass.
That's right, Daddy.
Yeah.
Dude, right on. Another question I had about CCW is I could have sworn I recognized one of the trainers. Is the guy that used to go as Glacier in WCW, is he part of the show?
I see why you think he looks like him. That is Tom, what's his name? It's not Glacier. Let me see. Give me 2 seconds to think about it.
You're listening to RVD Radio.
This
Dude,
is
he looks a lot like him, man.
Is that a side effect of long-term marijuana use?
Dude. Hey, you know what? I got to give it up to Randy Couture, even though Brock's a bad motherfucker, man. Randy's, you know, he's got the skills, and I think he's going to take it this weekend, bro. I like them both.
Yeah, I like them both, too. That's a really hard one to call. You know, I was incorrect when I said Brock was going to defeat Frank Mir. He dominated him, of course, but then Frank caught him at that submission. I don't know, man. I think that Brock, you know, has the upper hand. It's not easy to call, and I'm definitely not going to say you're wrong either for saying that Randy's going to take it. I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a hell of a fight.
Yeah, because Brock's got all that power, and if he can catch Randy, I'm sure he'll put him out in a quick second, bro. That's very true. Hey, but man, I'm just fucking glad to talk to you, bro. It's an honor. I'm glad that fucking, you know, you got the show and you're speaking at about 4:20. And I just wanted to drop real quick, if you're familiar with the movie called American Drug War, Last White Hope, featuring Tommy Chong and Joe Rogan.
No, dude, I don't know about that movie.
Dude, if you get a chance, check it out. It's really great. It talks about Uncle Scam and keeping marijuana illegal for a bunch of bullshit fucking reasons, man.
Yeah, I do have the documentary on Tommy Chong, and it tells a story of how they put him away for 9 months after totally setting him up and busting him by being connected to his son running a shop that didn't even have anything to do with marijuana. It was over glass pipes. They purposely set up a shop in Pennsylvania where it was illegal to ship to, tried several times to get pipes shipped, and then finally went into the shop and then bought shit on back order so that they would have to send it to their house, to their place in Pennsylvania, and then they came in and busted Tommy Chong, who of course doesn't sit at the fucking shop, and they came in with helicopters and riot gear. It was fucking insane.
Your destination is our
yeah, man, they said it was
TV and
Hey, they said it was entrapment all the way around, man. It was a bullshit fucking case, man, completely.
Yeah, there's no question about it. There's no question about that. Thanks for the call, Mike. I'm going to check on Forth from Rhode Island, even though he's got a funny number here. Officer X has a funny number, too, and he's doing all right. What up, Forth? You got a question for the RVD Radio?
Well, not really a question. I was going to say about the marijuana in Massachusetts. Well, I don't smoke it, but I do appreciate, I like the idea that people have the choice. You know, that I may not do it, but somebody else can do it, and they're free to do it. I know.
Yeah, that's very open-minded of you. I think that people should have a choice to do whatever they want, but even if that's not the case, if they're going to have the right to drink alcohol, which is fucking dangerous and kills, and they're going to have the right to smoke cigarettes, which kills 1 out of 6 Americans, then they definitely should have the right to this non-toxic fucking weed that grows in nature. I mean, if you're going to outlaw anything based on common sense, marijuana would be nowhere on the list. So
yeah, Forrest, hey, I just want to add to that. Thanks for being open-minded, and it's true. You know, we all have an interest in protecting the rights that we have as individuals, as adults. You know, so even if somebody doesn't choose to use marijuana, there is still a personal interest in making sure that we protect our rights and protect each other's rights.
That's right, because the more you keep up with the government and the New World Order and where everything's going, you'll find our rights are being taken away from us, and people are begging to have more and more rights taken away from them. I'm not all for that, and I'm glad that you're not either. Somebody's got to...
Thank you.
Yeah, we got to stand up. All right, man, thanks for calling, Forrest. Sweet. So, Dan, let me ask you a question, because I've always put the argument of legalizing marijuana into 3 different categories. For me, there's recreational, there's medicinal, and then there's material. And I understand earlier you said there doesn't really have to be an a contrast between recreational and medicinal, and I think that's awesome. I totally can agree with that. How about when it comes to material? How about when it comes to the 25,000 different products that can be made from hemp? I know that when Jack Herer first came out with all of these claims, the people at Normal thought that he was crazy. They wouldn't back him up. If I'm not mistaken, I don't think MPP was quick to jump on the wagon either. And I know he's a bit out there. He's a bit eccentric and not quite as conformed to one particular argument. But MPP obviously does realize the important unlimited resources in the material aspects of the plant, right?
Yeah, I think from MPP's point of view, we've got enough to worry about with marijuana. There's some good organizations out there who are working on the hemp issue and that kind of thing. We stay focused on marijuana just because that's what we do best. But I read the papers, and I don't know if you know, but there's some farmers, conservative guys up in North Dakota who have been suing for the right to grow hemp for a couple of years now, and their argument is that they watch us import all this hemp from Canada, and they'd like to make some money on it too, but we won't let them because it looks like marijuana.
Exactly. I interviewed Jack Harrer for RVD TV, and he was telling me that up until about 100 years ago or so, he said about 80% of everything was used, that we used hemp for it. And people often automatically think of, shirts or wood. But, he was pointing out everything in the room, said, not just the wood in the walls, but even the vinyl, the paint, the carpet, everything. It seems like you can do anything with it. And of course, including, Henry Ford made the car out of hemp mesh and soy mesh and it burnt hemp seed oil, and it's just, you can grow so much more hemp in a year. It's like a 90-day cycle in a year. It's an annual crop, which means you can grow. Listen to this, everybody, because you may not have heard this. Listen to this, Officer X. Listen to this, Harry Slash. I'm sure that Dan Bernath already knows, and everybody waiting online, because this is education for you, okay? Now, to get wood or paper, we use this substance called pulp that we get from the trees, right? The trees that we normally mow down are like an average of 20 years old, and to get the same amount of pulp out of 4.1 acres of trees, we can get that in 1 acre of hemp, and it's safer for the environment to process. Hemp will grow every fucking year. Cut it down, you'll have a full plant again to cut down next year. Unless you use indoor lights, then you can time it and get several crops a year. And it's not as bad for the environment when you process it because of the chemicals needed to tear apart the wood fibers, and plus it releases carbon dioxide into the air. There's so many reasons that it would be better in the big picture, in the long run, if we converted. But instead, we won't utilize it, and it's all to protect this bullshit law of prohibition that started way back 70 years ago. So everybody put that in your pipe and smoke it up. Right. So I'm gonna go to another caller then. Dan, I know that you're on the East Coast, and I don't know how limited you are on time, but feel free to stay on for the whole show, or if you have to go, just let me know.
Yeah, I should probably split in about 5 minutes, but I got to tell you, I've had a great time being on the show.
Awesome. I really appreciate you coming on, and I'm going to try and ask any questions I might have to get the official word from MPP before you go. And stay on for Jiggins. He's got a question about medical marijuana. Ask away, Jiggins. You're on RVD Radio.
Yo.
Jiggins.
Hey, what's up, RVD?
What up, Jiggins?
Hey, man, is this really RVD?
This is really Rob Van Dam. You're listening to
Fuck
RVD.
yeah, dude, you fucking rock! Hey, I gotta ask you one thing, dude.
You're part of history, man. This is gonna be archived thousands of times.
Fuck yeah, hey, dude, what's up with the legalization, man? We need to fucking get that ball rolling, dude.
Yeah, here's the deal, man. California, which you're calling from California, aren't you?
Yeah, we're calling from California.
Okay, California was the first to put Proposition 215 into effect back in 1996, legalizing marijuana for doctors to recommend as medicine. The Marijuana Policy Project is this group in Washington, D.C. that they go and they lobby with all the a-hole politicians and try and smarten them up to the truth. They try and get them to fold on their evil agendas, and they get these ballot propositions and they get the initiatives put up for people to vote on, and we're finding like year by year, we're adding another state. We now have 13 states, Jiggins, that where you can get pot recommended to you from a doctor, and the federal government still denies it. Even if your doctor says, "Hey, I'll give you, you should have pot. It would really help your ailing disease." The feds can still come in, kick your door down, shoot you, kill you, and then sell your house. We got good.
Dude, that's fucking a crime. That's ridiculous. But I was gonna ask you, isn't Obama from Hawaii? Don't they got the kind out there, bro? Shouldn't he? I mean, what his stand is on that?
They got the excellent kind, but in Hawaii, the mythical Maui Wowie that took a lot of searching for, but. There's some goods out there and there's some bads out there too. I just got a recent report from somebody that it wasn't so good, which was a surprise to me. Hawaii is one of the 13 states where it's legal. Dan, what can you off the tip of your mind there? Can you run down the 13 legal states for everybody?
Oh shucks. Okay, let me put a map in my head. We got Hawaii, we got Washington, Oregon, California, Nevada, Montana. Let's see, what else? We got Michigan now. Over on the East Coast, we got Maine, Vermont. Oh, boy, let's see.
Rhode Island?
We got Rhode Island. Yeah, good call. What else? Did I miss any?
Did we say Alaska?
Oh, in Alaska.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
Their governor's
13
hot
states.
in Alaska.
Yeah, and I get confused about Arizona. I think that's because they became a legal state, and then I think they went backwards a step, and then maybe became a legal state again, maybe.
Yeah, they passed a medical marijuana law a few years ago, really easily, but the law wasn't written right, and it ended up not being effective. It goes back to that whole Schedule 1 thing, making doctors prescribe it, which they can't because it's a controlled substance. So, Arizona could easily pass a medical marijuana law.
Yeah, okay, and a lot of the wrestlers live in Florida because the weather's nice and it's very easy travel. You can usually get a direct flight from Tampa to anywhere, and wrestlers, fly to work. But I find the Florida being a no-tolerance state, that they are very conservative and very strict. Their laws are pretty damn tight against marijuana. I think somebody recently got some kind of ridiculous, historical, I don't know if it was 20 years for a joint. I can't remember exactly what the details were, and I don't know if you do remember either, Dan, but Florida, they don't look like they're coming close to legalizing anytime soon, do they?
No, Florida has some tough marijuana laws, and they're moving in the wrong direction, too. Just this year, they passed a law lowering the threshold for what constitutes dealing. You could have a pretty small number of plants in Florida and find yourself being treated like you're a drug kingpin.
Yeah. Ouch. Nobody wants that. All right. So, Stan, are you still on the line?
RVD, hell yeah, man. How's it going, bro? What's up with Heyman? Have you spoken to him at all?
I have, and not much to talk about. We talk in secret and privacy when it comes to business. There's all kinds of little things doing that might pop up anytime soon. But he's doing good. He's happy, and believe me, he doesn't care what's going on with the wrestling tube right now.
Hey, I have another question. Is where do you see the future of wrestling with WWE, and where do you think and TNA? Where do you think the future is going to head?
I don't know, man. That's a really tough question. I know that they're really hard on the drug testing, and the recent news is that WWE is really cracking on the boys for smoking marijuana. It's like $1,000 fine, which is different than the suspension that you face for prescription drugs. But boys that have repeatedly failed over and over for the marijuana are starting to really get yelled at, apparently getting misused, getting buried, and being threatened. They may have even been fired, I'm not sure. and that's big news as of late. I know some guys have been fined like 11 or 12 times, $1,000 a pop. That's a tax that they have to pay on top of what they have to pay for their pot.
Fuck, that's ridiculous, man. I can't fucking believe that shit. Fucking Vince is an asshole, man.
All right, man. And it says it also says that Stan was curious about Obama's stand on legalizing marijuana. If I can get you to comment a little bit more on that. You know what? It says Dave on the switchboard, but I've got Dan written down. Is it Dave or Dan?
It's Dan.
It is Dan. Okay. Ha! Nikki, you wrote Dave. She might have got that from... Did I write Dave on my content? Oh, she said my typo. Sorry. You're throwing me off, man. I'm live on the air. Lots of attention. All right. Sorry, Dan. Me and Dan just met.
That happens all the time.
Okay. Just want to make sure we start off on the right foot, because I really appreciate you coming on the air and adding a lot of credibility and a lot of legitimacy to the argument. Before you go, can you comment on Obama's stance for the future? Because as I understand it, he says that he's not going to waste resources on arresting medical marijuana patients. What I don't understand is how literally can we take that? Because does that really mean that everybody who's got a doctor's referral in those 13 states is going to be safe from any prosecution, state or federal level? Because that's a little hard to believe.
Well, yeah, you know, he said it early in the campaign, early in the primary, and he and his campaign have repeated it that they don't believe that the federal resources should be used to undo medical marijuana laws and to go after folks who are operating legally within the state laws, and we consider that a promise. You know, we expect them to stick to that, and we expect patients who are in those states who are operating legally under state law to have no fear of arrest from the DEA, from their local cops, from whoever. If they're following the law, they're following the law. So, yeah, that's a promise as far as we're concerned.
Right on. Well, I know we'll do our best to hold them to it. For sure. Baby, Sonia Van Dam is still here, by the way. She's beside me. She's looking through catalogs and stuff, but she's here, so I want to get some estrogen going on the sound waves here. Baby, how much worse do you think going through the chemotherapy for the last 5 months or however long it's been, how much worse do you think it would be if, like many people, you refused to use cannabis therapy?
Wow, it would be really bad. The nausea and vomiting would have been much, much worse, and I definitely would not have been able to put on as much weight as I have. I've put on what I feel is a ridiculous amount of weight, but we won't get into that. The good thing is I have to go on a post-chemo diet, and most people don't have to do that, so I really don't have anything to bitch about. But as far as the anti-nausea drugs that they give you, they have really bad side effects. Like the one that works the best actually gives me the worst headache. And it works, but, you know, when you have a headache for 4 days that borderlines on a migraine, does it really work? You know, that's the big question. So instead, when I feel nausea and vomiting coming on, I just, you know, I smoke a joint and I feel better, and I usually don't throw up. So, you know, there's definitely medical benefits to it.
Yep, for sure.
Right.
So, yeah.
Sure don't sound like a criminal.
Exactly, and it's sad to think that the feds would want to lock up my wife and put her in bars like she was a murderer. And they would feel justified because they're just doing their job. I mean, the actual enforcers, Officer X, I got to get back to you on that one, man, because obviously there's got to be sometimes some moral issues where it's one thing to just carry out the job, but sometimes that's going to be inconsistent with your good nature of knowing what's right and wrong, I would assume. I mean, I know that sometimes that happens, right? Officer X. All right. Nikki, what happened to Officer X? I see that he's still on the air. Does he just put the phone down and walk away, or? Nikki, I'm demanding an answer. RVD radio producer Nikki. Maybe you set the phone down and walked away. All right. But anyway, oh, are you on? I know that Officer X, I know how he would answer that anyway. But, so yeah, baby, they would want to lock you up.
It's just wrong. I know. I would never go anywhere near Texas because Texas would want to lock me up. And I'm not a fan of Texas. Not just because I'm from Oklahoma, but because of their politics.
Yeah, but you know, it's tough. I mean, you know, our police officers are there to enforce the law. I don't know that it's really fair to expect them to have to make these tough judgments and arrest patients who they can see are doing nothing wrong. What we got to do is change the laws and let these cops follow laws that they know are right.
Yeah, I mean, that's you know, that's the call. You know, one time on RVD TV we talked about the death penalty. The guy, the executioner, you know, the guy that swings the axe and chops the head off, he may be doing his job, but I think he's doing something morally wrong too. And by the way, I have a recent DVD that MPP sent RVD. And it is The Human Cost of the Marijuana War, great DVD. It goes through a lot of specific cases of people who've had their lives destroyed over marijuana, either because they had some or because the people had the wrong address and busted in and shot, and I think they killed this old lady. There's a bunch of cases on there, people getting their children taken from them, even if they have a doctor's referral. There was a case out here recently in Los Angeles. I wanted to go to the protest, but I was not able to. It was a chemo week. But the guy got busted. He had a dispensary up north here in California, and the whole town loved him. The mayor shakes his hand in the front of the newspaper for a picture, and he's part of the Chamber of Commerce. Anyway, he's helping this kid, this all-star athlete, popular kid in school that got bone cancer. The kid had to get, like, his leg amputated, and he's bald, and it's just so sad to see this kid. Drew Carey did a special on it, I believe. And the kid, he's in bad condition. The doctor recommends maybe to try marijuana because all these pills are really making him feel doped up and not good at all, making him feel sick. So he sees that the pot helps him. He's got the doctor's referral and his parents' referral, and this guy at the dispensary is selling him this cannabis medicine. And what happens is the local sheriff has a hard-on for pot. And since he can't do anything because they're doing everything by state law, he calls the DEA in, who busts this guy so bad he has an extension cord tied to his ankle, and he has to carry that around his house, has to pull a bunch of cord in to go to the bathroom and take a piss. And he had his court case here in L.A., and because it was a federal court, he wasn't allowed to use the word medical marijuana and have anything. They weren't allowed to use any of the terms to describe that his store was anything but a fucking drug house and that he was anything but a drug dealer. That made me sick.
Rob, I don't know if you saw this, but not only did they do that to Charles Lynch, but the prosecutors tried to bar, and I quote, sick-looking people from testifying on Charles Lynch's behalf. They didn't want the jury to get the idea that this had anything to do with medicine, so they tried to bar sick-looking witnesses.
That's. Do you know what the end result was, or is that still going on?
He was convicted. I think they're planning on appealing, but they got him. They got him.
Yeah, that's it. They'll, just like Tommy Chong said in his documentary, if they want to get you, they'll get you. No doubt about it. What's up, Jamira from New York?
Hello.
Hello, you're on RVD Radio. What up, dude?
What's up, Bob?
You're
What's up, Bob
listening
Van
to
Dam?
RVD Radio.
Did you hear that? I played a soundbite right over while you were talking. Wasn't that crazy?
Yeah.
That was crazy. What's going on, Jamira? You sound like maybe you're a little medicated.
Nah, I used to watch you the days.
Right on, dude. Well, I'm glad you called in. You got a question? You're a comment?
I want to ask you. Yeah, I want to ask you that and stuff. Anyway, and stuff. How you been doing a lot lately and stuff? Anyway, and stuff. Last time I saw you like at WWE and stuff on. I think that was a long time ago and stuff. I remember and stuff. I remember and stuff. You was ECW champion and WWE champion at the same time.
Yeah, that is correct. It does seem like a long time ago, but it wasn't quite long enough ago for me, or else I'd go back. I needed a break. I needed some time at home, and that's what I'm getting right now, so it's all right. Everything's great. Yeah, I just need too much travel.
Yeah, it's good and stuff. I still watch WWE, but WWE's not that really good no more like it used to be and stuff. I watch this other wrestling called TNA and stuff. You heard of that wrestling company, right?
That's right, Daddy.
That's right, Daddy. Yeah, TNA's owned by Jeff Jarrett.
Yeah, I've heard of TNA. What do you think? Are you saying RVD would be better there? Jamira, you saying RVD would be better at TNA than WWE? Is that your opinion?
Yeah. And stuff. I was always wondering anyway. I was always wondering about you anyway. Stuff. You was gonna go to TNA.
Never say never, but I'll tell you, I don't have any plans of it right now. I don't have any plans of returning to WWE or TNA. It's something on the table that, along with many other things, are on the table. It may come to pass, it may not, but not expecting to do it anytime real soon. I'm home, taking care of my wife. We're happy, and I just woke up yesterday. My waking thought yesterday as I woke up in bed next to my wife was, I said, man, I'm so glad that I'm not in Downers Grove, Illinois, waking up alone in a hotel room.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, stuff. I got one more question to ask you and stuff. Do you still talk to some of those WWE guys?
Yes, I do, Jamira. I talk to Sabu quite a bit. I talk to Fonzie. I'm actually expecting Fonzie to call in. I think what I'll do is play an RVD TV clip and then call Fonzie and make sure he knows that we're expecting him to call in on the air. So if you want to hang out, Fonzie should be on in a little bit. But yeah, man, most of the ECW guys are tight, because ECW guys are the real people. Ooh.
Yeah, I watch ECW every night at 9 o'clock on Sci-Fi. You got Matt Hardy over there, ECW champion right now. He's beating everybody over there.
Yeah, I think I could have a piece of that. I could have a piece of Matt Hardy. That'd be a good match, too. So that's one thing, man. If you check out RVD TV at robvandam.com, you'll see I keep myself in tip-top shape. I'm always ready to go, and I could step back in the ring. In fact, I've had a few matches over the last year, international, a few in Spain, Japan, Portugal, and I keep myself ready to go, and at the same time, I'm home by choice. It's such a beautiful, beautiful thing. Yeah. So, all right, thanks for calling, Jamira. I'm going to go on to, Cody. We talked to you, Cody. You got him twice, man. You must know somebody up high. You must have friends in high places. What's up, Cody Durham?
Officer X is enforcing the double call rule.
Uh-oh. Dude, you're busted, Cody. I let you through twice. That might be the first time in history, and Officer X is up your ass.
Really?
Not really, man, but he's watching you. He's got his eye on you. Now, what's going on, dude? What can I do for you, Cody?
Not much. I've heard a lot of rumors about you being in the Money in the Bank at WrestleMania 25, I think, this year is coming up. I don't know if that was true or not. Or
haven't heard those rumors, and I have no plans of it. Maybe it'll happen, maybe it won't, but I'm guessing no. I don't know when the Money in the Bank is. By the way, I still have my wonderful Money in the Bank briefcase down in the game room of the Van Dam Gymnasium, which you can see on last week's episode of RVD TV titled Van Gaminator. RVD TV is at robvandam.com. It is the reality show that I host, that I play every week. Every Friday there's a new episode. They're usually about 20 minutes long, and it just adds on to the archives, so you can listen and you can watch me and have a whole bunch of celebrities carrying on topical conversations just like this. Go to robvandam.com. I suggest you look at the previews page. You can see almost 50 episodes to choose from, and it's awesome. We have a lot of fun. I'm going to play a clip for you in a minute from a RVD TV episode where I spoke with a good friend of mine, Justin McCauley from UFC. He's a mixed martial artist. And I also had some very famous friends of mine in on this conversation. Send Dog from Cypress Hill, DJ Ace, and Man Mellow Mace the Reyes brothers, and we were up at the Whiskey in Hollywood talking about marijuana.
This segment of Friends in High Places pits RVD with Justin McCauley, the insane one, Justin Tate from UFC, and we got Sin Dog from Cypress Hill, and I was with the Reyes brothers.
DJ Ace, Rhyme Poetic Mafia, Reyes Brothers, Rhyme Syndicate. I go by the name of Mellow Man Ace, a.k.a. the Cheddar Getter.
So the topic for today is marijuana prohibition. I haven't even talked to these guys about it before, so we're just going to see what comes out of this. Personally, I think everyone knows my stance on it is it never should have been outlawed. The whole thing was based on lies and manufactured bullshit, and today they still protect that bullshit law that they did back in 1937, when in fact cigarettes kill 1 every 6 fucking Americans, and in the history of the planet there's been 0 deaths from cannabis. How you feel about it, dude?
Well, indeed, man, everything that you just touched on is real, you know what I mean? What I get most into is the whole environmental trip, because cannabis hemp is a plant that you can make so much good things with.
Over 25,000 products can be made with hemp. You can fucking save the planet, including a car. There was a car completely made out of hemp that ran on fucking hemp seed oil. Henry Ford introduced it to the World Fair in, I think, 1941. Google it. And there's a famous picture of him hitting it with an axe to show that it was like 3 times as strong as a normal car, even though it only weighed like half as much. And DuPont convinced them biodegradable resources aren't the way to make money. We need plastics and bullshit like that. Fuck the planet.
Yeah. Indeed. So there's, it's a whole lot that goes to, knowing about your cannabis hemp history and all the laws, and, from state to state, how it affects itself. Get your medical marijuana card, please. Right. So I got my brother here, Mellow Man Ace, the Cheddar Getter, like you said before. And he's the penny dropper. Cheddar Getter, the penny dropper.
Just to play the devil's advocate, though, and just to play the devil's advocate, because everybody knows that the Insane One's a big cannabis advocate. I like it just as well as the next guy. But say there's, the parent out there that's trying to protect their kid from, say, taking bong hits all day and just sitting inside and hitting the video games and not doing nothing but this PlayStation. You know what I mean? Like, how does she break him from that and keep him motivated and know that marijuana is not to be used just to inhibit yourself and sit in the house? And how can you make a positive, motivated marijuana smoker?
Well, how about this? Smoking marijuana is for adults, just because the fucking kids should stay away from it, adults should lose their rights.
I got a good answer to that question. If that's really what you want to know, take a good example of this man right here, who made a living of being the first group to say, yes, we smoke pot. So in order to generate any motivation, it was within them already. It didn't have anything to do with the marijuana. They already had inspiration to be great, you know what I mean? And then the marijuana was a thing that they introduced to the industry. Then everybody started biting and copying their whole style. You know what I mean? Replicas of the original shit.
Hell yeah.
So, I think for when you look at my brother's career, you look at that and you're like, dude, these guys are pot smokers. How did they ever get the time to get in the studio and actually make the work? That's because motivation is already there. The weed was just something that enhanced the, whatever, the feeling, the goodness inside, the energy, and focus. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's right. And that's exactly what we talked about earlier, RVD, when I said, hey, if you're a lazy piece of shit, you're probably going to be a lazy piece of shit. Doesn't mean if you smoke weed or if you don't smoke weed. If you smoke weed, it's just going to make you more of a lazy piece of shit, but it doesn't mean weed made you a lazy piece of shit.
Voodoo pharmacology is the concept that drugs make people do bad things.
Exactly. See, he touched on an awesome point.
And I appreciate the fact, that you did come out and draw attention to it in hip-hop, and it made it, just like when Jay Leno makes a joke, at night and says, that Kevin's smoking pot, that makes it lighter, and it makes people realize, that it's a little more sensible, that's moving in the right direction, because back in the day, they outlawed it, saying marijuana made you violent and made you promiscuous, and if you smoked enough of it, you would go insane. That's what they outlawed out in 1937. Nobody believes that shit anymore.
Watch RVD. Watch RVD TV
at robvandam.com.
Dude, he had a stuttering problem. Did you hear that?
I heard that.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, Officer X had to go. He had to protect and serve, he said. So I thank him for all his contributions. Dan, I know you said you had 5 minutes a long time ago. We only got 20 minutes left on the show, 26 minutes if you want to hang out.
I wish I could stay, but I better run. But I hope you'll have me back on soon.
Oh, absolutely, man. Thanks a lot, and say thank you to Rob Campia for all the good he's done, and thank you. If I in another life, I'd be wearing a suit and tie with you, brother.
I'll tell you, think about that before you make a promise, but I really appreciate your support. I appreciate everything you've been doing.
Cool. I hope to meet you sometime at a advocacy meeting, hopefully somewhere really fun, like a Marijuana Policy Project fundraiser at the Playboy Mansion.
Hey, right on. Maybe that wouldn't be a bad time at all.
Yeah. All right, thanks, Dan, and we will talk at you soon. Have a great night in Washington, D.C.
All right.
Awesome. How cool was that, having Washington, D.C.
That was cool.
Political strongman on the lines. That was really cool. All right. I think we finally got through. Oops, shit. I think we finally got through to Fonzie, who's been requested for this show. Fonzie, are you with me, brother?
That's right, Daddy. Central Florida calling Southern California, RVD Radio, trying to get on.
Yeah. Sorry, I don't know why you had problems getting on. Were you dialing the right number?
Exactly. I talked to Nikki, one of your texts, and she said, "Oh, that's the right number." I called several times, but since you're such a popular guy, you probably got 1,000 callers from all over the country calling. So
that's right, Daddy.
I can see having difficulty sometimes, Daddy, but not all the time.
That's right, Daddy.
How's your show going?
True.
That's right, Daddy.
Hey, so Fonzie, thanks for calling, by the way. Good to talk to you again. Second week in a row. You're like a reoccurring character on RVD Radio now.
Oh, yeah, I want to be reoccurring.
I know, Daddy, and we want you in our lives more and more. I got a whole bunch of calls, just like you said. Let me talk to you real quick here. Callers, please hold on for just a moment. Fonzie, tonight we're talking about a couple of things. One thing we're talking about is the medical marijuana status in the United States. As of Tuesday, Tuesday was the biggest day in history for the movement of marijuana as far as the medical marijuana policy is concerned. We had 9 out of 10, I believe, initiatives go through in a positive manner. We got 13 states now that have legalized and protected the patients under the medical marijuana law. And we have states like Massachusetts, which isn't a medical state yet, but has decriminalized possessing an ounce or less. So you only have a $100 fine. You don't have to worry about going to jail and going to court and fighting. And it's staying on your record, keeping you from getting financial loans, giving up your kids, not ever being able to adopt. A whole bunch of this shit that was previously the conditions upon a marijuana offender have been removed. So it's been a very positive day. We've been talking about that today, Fonzie Daddy.
Not only that, it keeps you from going to prison, too. There's a lot of people in prison for small amounts of marijuana. It's terrible. I've been doing some research, and I believe it's 25% of the country now that's been adopted to the marijuana laws, which is great. I've got to move to a state that's got it or campaign in Florida to try to get it passed here.
The way that Dan Bernath from MPP put it, he said, you as an adult in America, you now have a 1 in 4 chances of getting busted, for being protected with the medical marijuana law. So that is major. People don't realize it yet, but people like you and me are spreading the word. That's how it gets out. You've seen me, Fonzie, go from back in '96 when I met you. I'd say back then that I was just like a stoner. I enjoyed cannabis, but also I didn't know that much about what the THC did in my body. At that time, I put all kinds of chemicals in my body, and thank God that I lived through those very recreational times. And then, I didn't know that much about the laws. I don't know if you remember, we were doing a photo shoot for High Times magazine, and a police officer was at the back door trying to give me a summons for a different court case because I was being sued by a fan that said I beat him up. You remember that?
Oh, I remember exactly what happened that night. It was a good night for us, and too bad we didn't make the cover, but Ozzy Osbourne beat us out. But that's okay, you know what I mean? I'm sure we're going to be on more spreads and more covers, you know?
You find
I
that
remember real well.
Yeah, hey, Fonzie, do you find that most people remember it as a cover shot anyway? Because everyone tells me, dude, I have that High Times magazine when you were on the cover. They all remember it as if we were on the cover.
Yeah, because they did that gimmick cover in the middle. They gave us a 3-page spread. I mean, they gave you a 3-page spread, but I was on it, and you know, I enjoyed it, and
I enjoyed seeing you on there. Yeah. All right. So anyway, since then, I mean, that was 12 years ago or something like that. I have learned a lot about this plant in all aspects of it. I'm well-rounded and educated on not just the legalities of it, the ridiculousness of its prohibition, the history of marijuana, of the plant, and its prohibition. And so I'm very, educated on it. I have a lot more to offer now. It's not funny to me anymore. People will laugh, we got stoned and did this. I understand you want to laugh, and that's a little bit of a rebellious thing. You want to rebel against the man having control on you. I get that, but that's something that I have matured out of, and now it's a serious fight. Sonia, using cannabis therapy, has had great results going through chemotherapy. She's now got 5 weeks left, and we'll be done with this shit, and can't wait. So that's one of our subjects, Fonzie. We're also talking about something you can relate to. This weekend, I'll be on the episode of Hulk Hogan's Celebrity Championship Wrestling, and since you've got way more years than I do in the business, Fonzie Daddy, well, at least a couple, you've got quite an insight on the ins and outs and how it really works. One thing that I like about the show is it exposes the aspects that people should know, like the fact that we really are competing to be the best. We really do want to impress the fans the most. We want to impress the promoters the most, and we want to be the top guy. I mean, that's where you get the most money, and it is a business. People forget about that and think that we're all just out there partying. You know what I mean, Fuzzy Daddy?
Exactly. It's a very competitive sport. I mean, you know that, and the songs survive, and yeah, I agree 100%. I know exactly what you're talking about. Very competitive.
That's right, Daddy.
That's my Fonzie soundbite. Do you like it?
Yeah, I love it. Hey, you got the Indian Princess with you?
Yes, I do. You want to say hi to? Hey, say hi to Fonzie, baby.
Hey, Fuzzy Daddy.
Hey, beautiful. Everything
She's doing
cool?
great, man. She's doing great. And like I said, 5 more weeks.
5 weeks.
Yeah.
After 5 weeks is winding down. It's been a long road, and thank God she's strong. You know, she's small, but she's strong. You know.
that's for sure. Just like a Hershey's Kiss, huh? Big things come in little packages. For sure.
You got that right.
Yeah. All right, Daddy. So also the Hulk Hogan Celebrity Wrestling Show, it shows the celebs thinking like, wait, we're moving too fast. I'm not ready to do the hip toss yet. And they freak out. They're trying to remember in their mind, wait, how's that go again? Dude, that's all part of it, you know. And even out of people that aren't singers and celebs, even out of people that think they're athletes that really, really want to wrestle, that devote a big part of their life towards learning about wrestling, even out of all those guys, very few guys are good enough to make it. True or not, Fonzie?
That is exactly true. I mean, people spend their whole careers and never even get the concept. A good example, and there's nothing against the guy, Lex Luger. I mean, they pushed him down our throats for 10 years, and he never learned how to work. And you know, but I mean, he could work to some aspect, but he was more a visual, entertainer. But he never got the whole concept of it. So that's
well, you know what? And that's also reflected in this show because the celebrities are only taught a few things. Like they only know how to do 3 or 4 moves, and then they gotta go out there and compete using those tools that they were given. So it's not like they're trying to. It's not like the show tries to insult the people and think like one of these guys could step into the ring and have a Rob Van Dam fucking classic match. But they're given a few tools to work with, like, okay, here's a hip toss, here's a fucking elbow, here's a clothesline, whatever the deal is, here's a body slam, and they got to practice that. They get rushed through it, and then they got to go out in the ring and compete using the little bit that they know, and then they get judged on how well they did it. And you know, it has a lot to do with how natural you are, how athletic you are, how quick you can just pick it up, and not everybody can do it. And I'm glad that this show exposes that, you know, by showing these hardworking celebs, which, by the way, really take it serious, and show them, you know, working their ass off trying to do just that. I got George from New York on the line with RVD, SVD, and Fonzie.
Hey, RVD.
New York, what's up, Daddy?
Everything's going good here, RVD. You know, I've been a fan of yours ever since the early days of ECW, when you were and still are the whole effing show. I mean, brother, you really are.
I appreciate that, man. Those were the days. You know, that's one thing. All of us that were in ECW, we can't shake that. For the rest of our lives, we're always going to be ECW wrestlers. Even in WWE, I was still that ECW wrestler. That's why it was so natural to bring it back, and that will never change. That was just like the height of our spiritual involvement.
Well, RVD, you know, I'm glad you're talking about Hulk Hogan's celebrity wrestling program. Because for many years, I mean, of course, now at my age, I doubt I'd ever be able to make it in a wrestling ring. But there was a time, about 20 years ago, I wanted to get involved in wrestling, and I never knew who to go to, who to talk to, where to turn, the whole 9 yards. And you know what? I guess at 45, you know, that might be considered too old for professional wrestling by now. At least for me, it would be. But if I had the opportunity, if I had the chance, I would love to learn the craft. I would love to learn the sport of professional wrestling. And the reason I say that, brother, is because I would always stick true to the sport. I would stick true to the people who taught me well. And you have done that, man. You have done that in your career, and that is something that, you know, to be very proud of. You have.
Well, I appreciate that. Loyalty does go a long way, and also, one choice that I made was to use integrity, which means I never compromised any of my principles. I never had to. In order to get everywhere that I went in the business, I did it all by hard work, by standing out, and by getting ahead. Fonzie Daddy, I think you may be privy to some rumors that I've always heard through my entire career about certain wrestlers that had to stoop really low all the way down to their knees to try to get on the road to a championship belt. You know what I mean, Daddy?
I know exactly what you mean, and that's true. I mean, you're one of the few guys that worked hard and kept his belief and made it, because there's been hundreds of people that's tried and they don't have the talent to do it. But you're very fortunate because you're strong-willed and you had the natural talent and you had the mind for it. I mean, and being in the right place at the right time. So you really excelled good. So I'm very happy with your career so far.
Well, let's not leave out the fact that I had a hell of a manager, too. That's right, Daddy.
Well, we both came. You got that right. We all worked hard, and I'm really known in the business, not only for, I mean, mostly for the ECW, but I spent 15 years, refereeing in WWE and WCW and Japan and all different Florida wrestling. But I'm best known for the ECW, like you say. We're
that's right, Daddy.
We're ended that way, but that's a good thing. That's a good
that's
thing.
Right, Daddy. That's right, Daddy.
And everybody was great, Daddy. I mean, we were all on. I mean, you know what I mean? We were all superstars at that point because we
made
hard.
history.
I mean,
Thank God for DVDs. I got Demos, producer from Blog Talk Radio. Dude, did you want to get on the line, or were you just listening in?
I'm just listening in.
All right, man. Don't you know how to put that information on there so it says just listening in? That's cool. We're having a kick-ass show, aren't we?
Totally screwed up. Yeah, I'm just listening to the show. It's doing awesome. I really like the topic you have today. The chat is off the hook today.
Yeah, I keep forgetting that I have a chat there, so every once in a while when someone's talking a lot, I'll look down there and put a word in there. But, yeah, awesome, man. We're having fun, too, so I'll let you listen some more, and we'll go on to somebody else. We've only got 12 minutes left, and can you believe it? It's been a whole nother show. Sonia, you want to pick a caller? Dude, by the way, Harry Slash, why don't you say something to Fonzie, bro?
Yo, Fonzie.
Harry Slash, you're the best, Daddy. What a producer you are, brother.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, man. It was an honor working with you guys.
I know you.
Today.
Yeah, it's got to be cold in New York City right now.
Say that again?
The weather's cold in New York City. Me and Van Dam are at 71 degrees in Southern California and Central Florida. Sorry, bro.
Hey, man, it is what it is, but it ain't that bad, man. We're in the 50s, low 60s, which is actually kind of warm for this time of year here.
Harry Slash calling and listening in from New York. He's our New York representative, where, by the way, here's a little piece of history for everybody listening. In New York, after the first prohibition of marijuana went into effect, Harry Anslinger in 1937 got that passed. Mayor LaGuardia of New York said, wait a second, if I'm going to prohibit this plant, I need to do some research of my own. And he looked at the claims that Harry Anslinger had put about kids getting addicted all over school, it's spreading like a wildfire. And he looked at, it makes you promiscuous, it makes you violent, it makes you go insane. And he looked at these stories, and Mayor LaGuardia did his own research, and in 1941 he released the LaGuardia Commission report. I would love it if everybody listening would Google the LaGuardia Commission report so that you know that this important piece of history has been left out of your history books. Mayor LaGuardia, after doing his own testing on marijuana, came up with the conclusions that, one, it's not addictive, it's not a gateway drug that leads to other drugs. It also is not dangerous. In fact, it can be medicinal, it can be calming, and if you smoke too much of it, you might go to sleep. He recommended that it not be outlawed because it was safe, and it would actually be inhumane, as the American Medical Association had backed up, to deprive people of this plant. So what Harry Anslinger did was bury the LaGuardia Commission report so nobody would see it again, and he was so offended because he had supplied the pot that Mayor LaGuardia did the testing on, and he had expected LaGuardia to jump on board with him with the bullshit, and since LaGuardia did not, and his claims were inconsistent with Harry Anslinger's, he just fucking stepped on him and moved on along his way. But you can uncover it by Googling the LaGuardia Commission report. I recommend that you do. It's very, very important. I'm going to go to this guy who is Chris calling 575. What up, Chris?
Hey, what up, Rob?
Where's 575 at? I like that area code. You got a lot of fives in your number. 1, 2.
Yeah.
Well, you got 5 fives, dude. 5 stars to you, bro.
Yeah, 5 star. Fuck yeah, dude. I'm actually like 45 minutes away from the Roswell.
Oh, you know what? You made it out there. 25 minutes away from what?
The alien crash site in Roswell. I'm in Artesia.
Really? Well, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Is that like a strong effect on your community? Like maybe from either tourism or just from some word on the street?
Oh, yeah, dude. It's so sad. If anybody listening interested in going to Roswell for that shot, come do it. I've seen people from Hawaii. I've seen people from New York. I've seen people from Cali, from you know, they come here and it's stupid. Watch TV. It's like watching TV. It's not. and the site,
it's kind of hard hearing you. I don't know, Fonzie. Can you hear this dude?
No, we got a real bad connection.
All right, man. Yeah, sorry, dude. I think I'm gonna have to move on because I don't know why, but you weren't coming through. All right.
Yeah, it's all good.
Hey, wait, you just came through like 5 stars, bro. What'd you do? Stay where you're at. Don't move your head. Talk to us.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, what were you saying? Something about you were watching 2 dudes?
Oh, no, I'm just saying, like, going to the shop, going to that alien shop in Roswell is like watching TV. You know.
Okay. Right on, man. Well, hey, so thanks for calling into RVD Radio. Have you got a question or comment for Rob Van Dam, the whole fucking show, or Fonzie Daddy, the whole fucking manager?
Hell yeah, man. Actually, I got into an indie federation earlier this year, the XWA, and I ended up finding out that there were a bunch of backyard wrestlers, pretty much, and I wasn't getting nowhere. The company ended up shutting down because the guy didn't pay for it. Do you know anywhere around New Mexico, like good schools that I could go to?
Bro, I don't. I don't know. I don't know. I had completely zero. That's all I can come up with for Mexico. I always recommend people to use the internet and Google. Google is fucking amazing. I can use Google. Sonia, you showed me this. We can use Google and we can find a satellite fucking picture of our house and zoom in and look at our property from space.
Yes.
You showed me that.
I did.
Did you do that, Fonzie? You ever done that?
Yeah, that's amazing, isn't it?
It is amazing. So I always recommend that you Google Pro Wrestling Schools Mexico, or
New Mexico.
Well, what was that? New Mexico? Okay, well,
yeah.
As I was gonna say, adjust the state to wherever you live in for everybody listening, and see what you got. That's about the best I can tell you. I really don't know that much about it, but good luck with it. And Fonzie, you got anything to add to this guy looking for wrestling schools? Maybe you know somebody around New Mexico, or would you send him to the Funks maybe in Ocala, Florida?
His best bet is going to Google, like you said, and get some information and feel it out and just check on that and go from there. If you don't connect with something, give us a call next Wednesday, and we'll try to help you out a little bit. But you're way out there, and we really don't know anything about that part of the country.
Yeah, well, we wish you all the best, don't we, Fuzzy Daddy?
You got that right, Eddie.
I kind of
yeah, you mind me asking you a personal
question?
That's right, Daddy.
What do you want to ask?
I watched the new ECW. I dig, the style that they're going with. I respect
Fonzie was on the pay-per-view, but then he did not return for the series of ECW, unfortunately.
Yeah. I remember, Sabu was doing good there for a while, man. I was loving the Extreme Bulls. What do you want to do, ECW and Matt as champion?
You kind of faded out there again. I heard about Sabu kicking ass, and I didn't quite get your question. Let's try that again.
Yeah, what's your view on the new ECW and like the direction they're going with, and Matt as champion?
Okay. Well, I don't watch the show currently, so I'm not qualified to talk about what they're doing right now. But I do know that when I left, a big reason that I left, mostly it was because I was tired of traveling, but also I was so burnt out. And when you're not motivated, tired, and burnt out, it doesn't do any good for someone to shit on something that you created and tear it apart and bury it and to take your creative project and demolish it. So that's very much what happened. That was a part of it. All right, we're almost off. We only got a couple minutes left. I'm going to see who's called from 352 and what's up. It's Eric from Chicago. What up, Jude?
Not much, Rob. How's it going?
Good, man. Good. I'm just about to wrap up tonight's edition of RVD Radio. You kind of just snuck in, but what's going on with you in Chicago?
Just trying to stay warm, man. Just moved up here from Florida.
Well, we got Fonzie on the line, too. Is there something me or Fonzie, manager of champions, can help you with?
Possibly. I know a lot of people ask you about wrestling and trying not to be like everybody else, but my question for you is just if you have any plans in long term to ever return to the wrestling industry and business, like say not just as a wrestler, but like maybe just as a wrestler, but as an entertainer or anything, because I know you've been out for a couple of years now, and I'm not sure if you ever have any long-term goals of wanting to go back.
I'm pretty much a take it by each day kind of guy. I'm a very free-spirited, free thinker, and I don't have any definite plans. I do know that if I return to wrestling, I'll be worth a hell of a lot more than when I left. I'm in great shape. I can still wrestle. In fact, probably had about a dozen matches or so in the last year, so I keep myself in the ring, keep myself up. I'm still better than everybody else, but right now and for the foreseeable future, I want to stay home, so I'm going to do everything that I can to remain staying at home, at least for the next while. Next year, 2009, is going to be an awesome year. I got so many projects on the table. I don't know what's going to jump forward first, but I'm very excited about it. I got a great feeling. The show was an awesome show. Had a great feeling about that. Fonzie, Daddy, we only got like a minute left until we're gone, so I want to thank you for being on RVD Radio again. Give me it one more time. That's right, Daddy?
RVD, Daddy. You got that right, Daddy. RVD Radio is the best. Bill Alfonso signing out from Central Florida, back to RVD Radio, Southern California.
Awesome, man. Well, we'll have you on the show again real soon. Thanks for Harry Slash. Thanks, SVD. Thanks to Dan Bernath. Thanks to Todd Bridges. Thanks to Officer X. Thanks to Dr. Shawn. Holy cow. Where was Chris Masturbator?
Oh, my God.
Oh, my God.
Drop that down! The whole fucking show! Drop that down! The whole fucking show! Damn a needle! Dance of a needle! Man, cross your needle! Man, assassinator! Drop that down! The whole fucking show! Drop that down! The whole fucking show! A damn shot straight to your brain! Straight to your skull crack! You can stop the straight to your brain! Straight to your skull crack!